Hi.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jake from All Things Garmisch and Bavarian Beer Vacations. I will be your narrator for today's story about the Celts. So, the Celts, the first sign of them in the Alpine region of Bavaria dates back all the way to the late Bronze Age or the early Iron Age. So we're talking like 12th century to 6th century BC, before Christ. Now, the first ruins that we have in this area go to the city of Hallstatt. Now, Hallstatt is gorgeous. If you guys ever get a chance to come back to Bavaria, that is a place you have to go see. It's just over the border in Austria, next to the city of Salzburg, and it is home to one of the oldest continuously used salt mines in the world. And it was there that they recently found a grave with over 1,300 tombs of Celtic people and miners. In fact, inside the salt mine just recently, the salt mine that is in Hallstatt, they found a shaft with perfectly preserved Celtic miners inside the shaft, still wearing their miners' outfits. And it was because of the salt that they were preserved so well. Salt was an extremely valuable commodity throughout the Middle Ages and throughout history itself. It was how you would cure your meat before mechanical refrigeration. And it's a completely different side story, but it is a fascinating subject. Come on, let's get back to the Celts. All right, so it was during the 6th century BC that we begin to see Celtic migrations occur. It was mainly because of overpopulation. You see, the Celts, they lived in a region called Gaul, and it was there that with the introduction of farming and with herding that they began to have a population growth. Now, what's Gaul? Well, Gaul is a term that was given to the Celtic regions, discovered and eventually conquered by Caesar. Caesar coined the term after he conquered the people that lived there. Now, the area of Gaul would have encompassed large pieces of modern-day France, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and northern Switzerland. The Celtic tribes and villages in the region, as they began to grow and expand, they were looking for a new place to go. And it was in the 6th century that you see some of the greater migrations begin to occur. The most famous was led by two brothers, the brothers Bellovesus and Segovesus.
I'm going to lead my people in this direction. I'm going to lead my people in this direction.
See, the Celts had already began to explore northern Italy and the Alps, but it was Bellovesus and his brother who proved to be the Celtic Moses, leading their people out of Gaul and into new unexplored regions. Bellovesus led the people towards the Alps, and his brother Segovesus went into the forest of central Germany. Well, Bellovesus, his journey brought him all the way here to Bavaria, right at the entrance of the Alps. When he got here, a lot of the tribes that had been traveling with him decided to settle here. Hey, Marion, let's go for a hike up the Alps.
No.
Why not?
No.
Oh. All right, you sure you want to go?
No.
We can go all the way up the mountains.
No.
I guess I gotta go alone. The Alps were simply too much of a challenge to try and cross. But Bellovesus was not done. He had a vision from the gods and a little help from the Greeks, and so he decided that he would journey through the Alps and into northern Italy. Well, with the help of the gods and the Greeks, he made it all the way to Tarini. Once clear of the Dolomites, Bellovesus was welcomed by the Etruscans, an early Italian culture, and he promptly beat the crap out of them like they were an episode of the TV show Vikings. With the Etruscans gone, Bellovesus founded a new Celtic civilization and a city that eventually grew into what is modern-day Milan. But let's go back. You remember those Celts that were originally led by Bellovesus that decided to stay here in Bavaria? Well, they were a mixed bag of Celtic tribes that eventually joined together and became known as the Boy. The Boy were mostly farmers. They worked with livestock, specifically cattle. In fact, boy means cow. You see, the B sound in Celtic eventually takes on a K sound once the Germanic tribes begin to intermix with the Celts. And so boy becomes ku, which even today in the Germanic language means cow. The boy prosper here in Bavaria, and they begin to journey out. Because of overpopulation, you start to see tribes that move and settle in northern Italy. But more importantly, a lot of the boy start moving north. They make their way to what is today Czechoslovakia or Czechia. And they begin to form the foundations of a society which the Romans called Bohemia or Bohemia. In fact, parts of Czechia were called Bohemia all the way up until the 20th century. The boy of northern Italy, Bavaria, and Bohemia, they begin to intermix with the Romans and the Germanic tribes and are constantly found throughout history getting into mischief. They were involved in the Gallic Wars, the Cambrian Wars, and eventually by 15 BC, Drusus and Tiberius invade the Bavarian boy and eventually turn this entire region into two Roman districts, the Raeta and the Noricum. But the boy, they were able to keep their cultural identity all the way up until the 5th century AD. But then in 487 AD, a military leader by the name of Flavius Odoacer, he takes control of Roman Italy.
And the people from that boy, I don't like you.
You see, Rome had become split in 3 AD, with the city of Rome as one capital and Constantinople as the other capital, the capital of Eastern Rome or Byzantium. Flavius Odoacer eventually named himself King of Italy, and he stopped showing his support to Eastern Rome. The emperor of Eastern Rome, or Byzantium, well, he didn't really appreciate this social distancing. And he asked the Germanic and Celtic tribes of southern Europe to rise up against Flavius Odoacer. Many of them did, including our Bohemian and Bavarian boy. So Miriam, why are you sad? Huh? Is it because your emperor took all your lands and beat the tar out of you and all the other Germanic tribes? Well, Flavius Odoacer, you eventually got your revenge. You killed him, remember? But before that, he did take away all your lands in Bohemia and beat the tar out of you and all the other Germanic tribes. Eventually, all you guys reformed into a new confederation.
And I'm leaving. Oh, yeah.
And you guys moved from Bohemia, which is today Czechoslovakia, and you guys moved, you ready? Here, back to Bavaria.
Alive.
Pretty cool, huh?
I'm still alive. Oh, yeah.
Flavius Odoacer proceeded to beat the living upchuck out of him. It was brutal. Once it was over, the tribes that had stood against Flavius Odoacer began to pick up the pieces, and a large number of them bonded together as a new confederation. These tribes were Roman, Germanic, and Celtic. Famously, there were the Alemanni, the Buri, the Heruli, the Marcomanni, the Ostrogoths, the Quadi, the Rugi, the Skiri, and don't forget about the Thuringians. These tribes, they picked up what was left of their self-esteem and their dignity, and slowly but surely, they began to migrate and form one entity that made its way out of Bohemia and back to Bavaria. This confederation of tribes became the foundation for a new duchy that was eventually ruled by the Anglophils. And that is a story for another day. The last thing I want to say about the Celts that were here in Bavaria is that this is where the Bavarians get their name. You see, most historians believe that Bavaria comes from the old word Bajuvari, the men of Bohemia. But keep in mind that Bohemia was originally named for the boy, that Celtic tribe that I have spoken of in great detail. And the formation of this new confederation in 5 AD, after, of course, the Emperor Flavius Odoacer, it makes its way south back to Bavaria. Well, that tribe became known as the Bavari, or around here, the Bavori, which simply means, once again, the people from Bohemia who worked with cows.
Bavaria!
It's ironic because Bavaria still has a very rich heritage within farming, especially around here in Oberbayern with dairy. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the story.
Ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna kill you. That was a
Oh, well, Flavius Odoacer, your sister killed you because you were a great emperor. You actually took Rome and turned it into its own country, separate from Eastern Rome, which was a Byzantine empire. You did a really good job, but eventually the Eastern emperor got pissed because you weren't paying him any taxes anymore, and so he galvanized all the tribes against you, and that's when your sister eventually came and she killed you. Yeah, so, sorry. Go.
I'm gonna lead my people in this direction.